Patrick Gavin. Ascending to power has no policy. Miscavige's rise is tough to understand other than just doing it, because no one knew what to do. Could it be that simple? It seems he just said, I am in charge. Okay, of course, here you're referring to the epiphany moment David Miscavige had where he realized that power is something you assume, I think is what he said, right? Oh, power is assumed, right? And suddenly he was very, very interested in assuming power. It's a lot more complicated than it was just that simple of, oh, I'm in charge now. There was a lot of people that David Miscavige had to remove from the picture, and it took him quite some time to do it. And I've talked with a number of people who were around and involved and were, hands-on during that time and watched him carry out his executions, so to speak, his getting rid of people. And it was a slow, kind of gradual process for them, right? And of course, keep in mind that Sea Org are 24/7. So when things are happening, we might think things are happening very quickly, but in the Scientology world, when every day is, an 18-hour day kind of thing, and, time takes on a little bit of a different meaning. So anyway, because all of this did go down within the space of just a few years, but it was a few years. It wasn't like one day he wasn't in charge, and then the next day he was the overlord. It didn't go that way. It was a slow, gradual process, but it was definitely a process that he was dedicatedly moving forward. And that actually is the most interesting part, because there are individuals, and I won't go into other names, although I could, who are so bold in not having manners, in not following regular, expected, policy and guidelines, or how you do things, or what the expectations of things are within a culture or a society. There are people who specialize in not following those rules and just literally ignoring them, treating it as though they never existed, that they have the perfect right to do exactly what they are doing, as off the rails as what they are doing might be, but they just go into it fully, confidently, just balls to the wall, this is what we're going to do now, sort of thing. And everybody just kind of stands there going, what? Because it's such a violation of the mores, the agreements of the group, that everybody you don't predict that somebody would act that brazenly, that boldly. You don't know what to do when that's right in your face. You don't have any earlier thing in your time, in your life, to draw on of how to deal with this, because this is so unusual. It's something that people don't regularly do. And this is one of the ways that these outrageous, let's call them outrageous personalities, get away with what they get away with, right? And this is cult leaders, this is politicians, this is celebrities, this is, people who push boundaries. Sometimes this is comedians, but comedians rarely have ill intent or are doing things maliciously. Comedians are doing things because they want people to laugh. And laughing and humor, of course, comes from surprise. So they say they are always pushing the envelope. But with politicians or with cult leaders or, business people or celebrities who are, kind of pushing this for their own reasons, for their own self-aggrandizement, you have them pretty much boldly ignoring or flagrantly violating rules that other people would never even think to do that, right? And this is the way that boundaries can be pushed in a good way, but it's also a way that the normal structures of our society can actually be broken down, and we can be taken advantage of because of our inability to deal with something that we've never dealt with before, especially in the moment. This thing is happening right in front of you. It's playing out, and there's everybody there watching this happen, wondering, everybody individually is wondering, what? And they're looking at other people, and they're like, what? But nobody's standing up. Nobody's stepping up and going, no, this isn't right. This isn't going to happen. Nobody does that because people are pretty timid, right? And they're unsure of themselves, especially in a group situation. There's so many dynamics at play here, right? So Anyway, so this is some of what was behind Miscavige's rise to power, taking it back directly to this. He flagrantly violated rules, and people didn't know what to do. And he assumed power. He assumed that he was in charge, and soon he was, because he just walked all over anybody who got in his way. And he did it at first, it wasn't so brazen, it wasn't so bold, it was roundabout, it was covert, it was allies, it was, it was kind of Survivor, right? The island thing. It was like forming temporary alliances, and Miscavige worked hand in hand with Pat Broker. If you watch my Scientology Organizational Madness video, it breaks all of this down, and I talk about who that guy was. And Miscavige was in touch with him. Broker and Miscavige had this little tight-knit conspiracy, and Broker was directly connected to L. Ron Hubbard. So there was, this was part of what was going down. And that is how Miscavige got in charge. So anyway, so it is simple. It is in a way, from a certain point of view, it was as simple as Miscavige saying, I'm now in charge. But the particulars of that I wanted to kind of address, because it's not just that easy. There was a lot of details in that devil. There you go.